I was looking as well. This is a lot of replays, actually. I got asked to do these replays, so I imagine... Right, well, I knew I would have to do some of... I say, not have to, but, you know. I knew that I was gonna be asked to do some of these replays, so... in a way, I kind of didn't watch as much of the later games. I definitely watched more of the earlier ones. The people I don't get to watch as much already, and... Well, Maru Reynor, I don't think that's a match I managed to catch. Maru Hero, maybe? And then the Maru Dark series I also didn't manage to catch, so... No, it's a nice little thing here for me. Of course, I did read up on everything, so I already know what is gonna happen in those matchups, but that's alright. That's alright. That's alright. How exactly things unfold and stuff like that is still gonna be pretty cool to see here. Let's take a look. 2 factories for Maru. Alrighty. Well, love to see it. Love to see it. Reynor, did he ever get a scout on that second factory? No, he didn't. He doesn't even know there's a single factory, really. That might be coming in later, though, with that Overlord not too far away for him. A Viking being constructed. Makes me wonder if he knows the Overlord went that way. I don't think he did, because the Viking is going to be going elsewhere. Blue Flame, in fact, being researched here by Maru. Return of the Blue Flame, isn't it? This DreamHack a little bit. Maru kind of opening up an old box of tricks in that department with those Blue Flames. And, well, they are absolutely terrifying. Well, with the Queen's presence, I don't see the Hellions doing too much. There's a good amount of links there also, just behind the Queens, ready to pounce if those Hellions ever come by. Maru being pretty safe so far with him. This might be the reason why. He did bring over a medevac as well, trying to get that into the main base. Let's see how much this is actually going to do. Medevac getting really low. Might get picked off pretty soon. No, he manages to pull it away just in the nick of time, but it's in pretty close rather soon again. Were there more Hellions here? Yes, there are. There we go. They're kind of stuck. This is kind of broken. And only 2 drones dying. So that's a phenomenal hold right there for Reynor. He's going to be feeling quite ecstatic about that one. Even getting links into the natural base. Look at that. 2 juicy fresh mules. They're ready to be nibbled upon. Reynor just leaving behind a few of those links. The rest of them trying to send elsewhere, but gets more kills than all the Blue Flame Hellions did. He's got 8 SCVs, so pretty darn good here for Reynor. Definitely a start where you would anticipate him to be able to kind of, you know, have a clean way through this game. Then again, you are playing against Maru here, Reynor, so could still be a more of a hassle than he's used to, perhaps. Not that much damage being delivered by the Widowmine drops. 6 of them in total, and I think they only got 2 drone kills once again. Station bid now already on the way for Reynor as well on the 8-minute mark. Showing that he's feeling pretty good about this. And who can blame him? He's in a wonderful spot. Held pretty much all the aggression that Maru threw at him. Now he's up about 60 supply. Most of that is within roaches, but you know what? If you have enough roaches, tank lines do get smothered. See if there's enough of a meat shield here in front of those siege tanks for them to really deliver a good blow. And the queens are taking a long while to get there, and Maru, although he loses 22 workers, he doesn't die right here. He keeps the majority of the siege tanks alive. Although you could say he lost a third of the siege tanks that were there. Reynor just kind of replenishing those roach units. I don't think he wants to be pushing in right now. Still has the full Ravagers, so he might be looking to try and snipe down a siege tank or 2 here or there, wherever they are able to. That's a little bit of an unfortunate event. Marines poking into the reinforcements, giving a little bit of mismanagement of those units right there, or perhaps Maru just finding a nice opportunity. Did cause Reynor to pull back with those Ravagers before they managed to get, well, any biles onto the siege tanks. Now, quite the offensive maneuver of Maru is trying to be undertaken. It's proven Reynor a couple of times now that he's pretty well set up back at home, so hoping that Reynor will back off. Giving him space to make moves like this. Reynor may not have tried to push all the way through Maru's defenses this time around, but no, he was still close to Maru's front side. It took him quite a while to get over to that base. The base clearly destroyed, now being rebuilt. So you have to wonder, how is Maru going to try to fight a way out of this situation? He is setting up a 4th base. And you know what? With the amount of siege tanks he's got, he might be okay with some proper Maru targeting and control. It's not that many Marines here, though. That does have me a little bit worried. Last time when we saw the roaches kind of come in, there weren't as many siege tanks, but there were a lot more Marines, I feel like. This might be why. 3 more medevacs once again being sent up to the top. Hoping to once more deny that base. Another thing we could talk about, of course, is as well, in that attack of Reynor, he did come in from one angle in particular. Maybe if he had managed to have his units be on 2 separate sides here, could have worked out a bit better against the siege tank fight. Not only would have, you know, his units hit the siege tanks a bit sooner, it would have also been spread out, and AoE's damage just becomes less of an issue at that point. At this point, though, there is enough siege tanks to defend both areas pretty sufficiently, so maybe you do kind of want to try to just muscle your way through one area this time around. Just so you have less siege tank fire in total as you're running in with your initial attack. Is still taking up more bases. These drops starting to be controlled a little bit. Even though he only has those roaches and ravagers and bangs, it's not a lot of anti-air here. It's going to start bringing up 2 spires though, so you know, we'll start up double upgrades for what I'm assuming to be Mutalisk. Could be a couple Corruptors in there as well, of course, but most likely will just be pure Mutalisk. Broodlords just get sniped too quickly by those ghosts. Especially when they're in Maru's hands. They are ever so lethal. And with, you know, the way Maru approaches this game right now, Reynor has to know that this is going to kind of be that style where he's going to. Right, at least the siege tanks, the ghosts, that type of force. Really a staple play right now for Maru, and he's really good at it, so you can blame him. Kill on that hatchery, not a cancel. Maru finding once again a little bit of ground here, and well, he did manage to get himself close to being maxed out on supply now, so that in combination with his upgrades being pretty much on par with those of Reynor. Using a couple of Marines there though. But yeah, you have to give him credit for the position that he found himself in after kind of not finding anything on Reynor in particular. Didn't keep a close eye on the overall work account for Reynor either though, perhaps. He was trying to play it pretty safe in the early game. That is a loud car. Well. Alright, yeah, no, okay. He drove off. That is good. That is good. My apologies. Another hatchery dies. Sound of the siege tank sounding quite similar, in fact, actually, to the car that just passed by. Oh, this may have been a siege tank. Got a good look. Well, Reynor wants to start trading out some of this roach supply here, so he will be just kind of running in, hoping to get something out of it, right? Most likely wants to get some bailings onto SUVs. That is nice, but also the siege tanks that he just took out, a couple of them, you know. It's quite a terrifying thing if the Terran just has a near army fully consisting out of siege tanks. So keeping that a bit low allows you to be a bit more flexible with your units. You get punished less awfully extreme when you run in somewhere and decide, you know what, this is indeed 20 siege tanks. Everything just just kind of disappeared in front of my eyes. Right, so yeah. Let's see. There's a lot of banelings now for Reynor available. 60 some. Using quite a couple of them here to clear out the watchtower. Well, there was a nice couple of Marines turning a bit green. Great Aspire is being made here by Reynor. Interesting, so we could still see some sort of an attempt into the Brutals here. He also got himself some Ultralisk overall. Nice EMP onto the Vipers. One of them actually did not get fully connected onto. Surprisingly so. Wants to kill off the siege tank there. Yeah, not efficient to do it with banelings, but I mean, it's just gonna keep shooting otherwise, right? And there wasn't really much else there to target down the siege tank. It would have taken the Roaches and Ravagers, Ultralisk, whatever, to quite a while to get there. This is an incredible amount of sniping now happening for Maru. Getting, once again, quite efficient with his forces. As you can see, this is the units lost tab. There must be a bit of a pickle here for Reynor. I'm looking at the map distribution and how this exactly... It's just a bad day car-wise, guys, I guess. But yeah, it's just wondering here exactly. He already managed to grab this base, which is pretty good. So if he can grab this base as well, he should have a base advantage over Maru. But if he clears out more bases of Maru, of course, that is always a good thing. Just running by with the Ghost, trying to get these banelings to blow up in siege tank fire and planetary fortresses. But they still managed to get a little bit of connections here and there. It's only 4 ghosts that went down in total, actually. I thought that was more. But, well, you know, he gets 12 workers. 12 workers. How many orbitals do we have? 5 of them. So not the biggest of deals there for Maru. He is remaking some of them still. he may have gotten at the point where it could be something to consider to just be around the 60 worker mark, right, as the Terran here. Maybe being very careful with how many orbitals he's adding in total. He's got himself 3 planetary fortresses after all. May have something to do with the bad start that he's not going all too greedily into more orbitals. It's a nice way to try and secure a game, but you know, if we're already it's struggling to remain on 200 supply, then your resources might be more valuable elsewhere. Another base for Maru does get denied, as Reynor takes this base over here on the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Night Swim in the main base. Are there actual units in this Night Swim? Where did he put it? Nope. Nope, it's all a fake. It's all a fake, baby. Maru, what did he send to defend against this? 4 Hellbats, 3 Marauders. Oh, 5 Hellbats, 3 Marauders. That is not a lot, yeah. He did not fall for that ploy, but Reynor doesn't get... Well, he gets a base over here. 6 workers. 55 now remaining in total for Maru. Once again, rebuilding them. Just fully stopped marine production here as well. It's pretty cool to see. Started incorporating those Hellbats instead. And, well, that is interesting. It feels like it's going to be more difficult to spread the Hellbats against those Banelings, but maybe they're going to be more efficient individually than Marines, right? To keep big circling armies at bay. 7 Broodlords, alright. Could be a make or break army here. I would love to see him add in some Infestus as well with this though. If you get a good fungal onto those ghosts, kind of stop them from just running in and trying to get those snipes on the Broodlords. That could be really good here. But yeah, you just kind of have, well, you have the Banelings as well, right? Okay, let's see how he utilizes this army right now. He's already running in with the Banelings and the Ultralace. A lot of them die, and that is not something I was imagining would happen. Reynor now making more Broodlords. This gets canned, so difficult choice now for Maru to decide whether or not he's going to start moving out. We do see some of these siege tanks unsieging. As a command center is moving forwards, he might just be trying to take this location as a base. But at the same time, I mean, this is where the Broodlords are. A fight does seem to be inevitable in this location here. Can he get himself the snipes? Infestors are with the Broodlords. Where is the ground army for Reynor? There's not that much at the moment. Circlings and Banelings from the left side are running in for a counter-attack, starting to take down some siege tanks and SCVs as well. Maru indecisive about exactly what he's going to send into the main base to try and defend against this Nidus Worm. Quite a bit here at home. Sending the Ghost back again. Indecisiveness, perhaps. He does have 14 Broodlords up against him right now. 3 more are morphing. He is starting to get himself some nuclear missiles. Maybe the way to clean up the Broodlord army could be with the nukes. This is becoming quite ridiculous here. Mass repair onto the planetary. Only going to keep it alive for so long. Unless if you actively try to deal with those Broodlords, this is not gonna be a place where you want to stay, right? Nice ramp area there for those Broodlords to abuse. Maru decides the heck with it. We're not going to try to engage that army. We're going to start moving towards your other bases in the top left side. Coming in right now to, well, take down these still very healthy fresh minerals patches, their hatcheries. That's got to sting a little bit here for Reynor, although he does have a bank. It could become a little bit more difficult to regain any sort of bank now after spending this one. So Maru actually made himself some wiggle room here, I would say. He's just got to kill Reynor's army once now, and then, well, kind of re-kill whatever he can reassemble afterwards. Can you do it, though? This is in 17 Broodlords right now. 3 Vipers, 3 Infestors. 30 Banelings still rolling around as well. I would be absolutely paranoid in Reynor's shoes here, keeping those Banelings together with the Broodlords. But Reynor knows better. He knows what he can and cannot get away with. Doesn't even want to waste a couple of Banelings onto the 2 Hellbats right there. Hellbats die even quicker than even the Marauder does to Banelings, but that is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Oh. Wow. Wow. It was like Squid Games, just snipers at that one scene. Jeez Louise, everything just being obliterated. Quite gruesome. Top left side is starting to be retaken by Reynor as Maru is starting to float up his command centers that way as well. Maru's still a little bit of a presence here in the bottom right side. Has mined out most of the bases that are just kind of sitting there. Bottom right furthest, and this little bottom base here, of course, well, pretty much still fresh. Similar to their mirrored counterparts on the other side of the map. Bit of a cat and mouse game, where both players are convinced they are the cat, and they are convincing me quite thoroughly, not gonna lie. It really is a give and take between the two, going back and forth between these 2 corners. Now bringing the Broodlords up to the top side, hoping to stop any encroachments further upon the creep area. I think Maru should be pretty happy with having these 2 bases here. Right, especially knowing that this base is not being mined. Not a nice swim in the main base, by the way. But yeah, that means it is pretty much a divvied up map situation. Reynor could have the bottom right side and he should still be okay. In theory, and the bank, well, we were talking about that earlier. The bank's not really that far ahead anymore for Reynor. He's got himself about 1,000 extra gas, and that's it. Attempting the assassination of the Overseer. Still a changeling there, so another another Night Swim quite quickly created. Now, lurkers are coming into the mix as well. Only a couple of them. 2 of them to be precise. Already maxed out on supply. Can't get any more. Ain't that a coincidence? The 2 times he shoots a nuke, we're already looking at the Ghost Academy. Oh, that's a lucky break. And the Nidus here in the natural, but the Thor Medevac combo really doing a good job kind of countering that. Just keeping each other busy here. Trying to do whatever they can to slow each other down, I suppose. Although Maru just kind of trying to keep his own base safe from Night Swims. Alright. Well, a little bit in a split map position. And again, I do believe that for Reynor to win this game, he will have to lay claim to this area right here. If he doesn't, or if he doesn't manage to like take out these bases, right, that could be another win condition. He takes out maybe 1 or 2 of those bases. Do it relatively quickly as well, and then it will be even better. Like the cancel, very decisive there on those 2 orbitals. He's like, oh, you're coming into this area? Alright, let's just not even bother. Cancel this immediately. We'll start building it elsewhere if we really need it, or we'll just not build it at all. Perhaps showing that restraint once more in the amount of orbitals he really wants to make here. Trying to spend more money on the units, perhaps. How many are we on anyway? 7. Yeah, okay. 7 is a good amount. It's already a good amount. You're going to be able to keep scanning that time, right? With 7 orbitals, no problem. Whenever something piques your interest, you should be able to throw that scan down in this situation. Oh, that micro, keeping it as alive. Not sure how much individual that might that got microed, but it does manage to stick around. Circlings on the top left side once again. This base has been devoured by the swarm, but it's not yet claimed, and it's gonna get resettled by the Terran here. Before the Zerg can really put down a big hatchery. On right side, trying to be reclaimed now as well. Bases just keep getting slain by one another. Once again, the banks here pretty similar overall. Oh, there we go. What do? That's a big robot in the way, sir. Right, Nidus does have Zerglings in there, so if Reynor can get another Overseer or some Zergling into the main base or natural, that could once again start casting some, well, forced rotation out of some units, depending on whether or not the Nidus Worm actually comes into play. Marines here. Not the most valuable units anymore for Maru. What is this exact unit composition actually? Let's take a look. Only 35 workers. 9 Thors, 17 Hellbats, 2 siege tanks, liberated 21 ghosts. That's the majority. 5 medevacs. He's got a nuke with it also. And it's all tearing through a Zerg base, which has fully mined out, so Reynor wisely just kind of lets that be. Doesn't want to make more trouble than it's worth. But to be fair, maybe that would have been a good opportunity to try and take down that army in a way where the army pushes into you. Is he just shooting down medevacs right now? Yes, sir, he is. Yes, sir, he is. We don't need those medevacs right now. This is going to become one big fight here. Maru doesn't want to have a big sustained match, it looks like. Most damage that will come in pretty much will one-shot something. Right? I guess the Broodlings, as soon as they're on the ground, sorry, I had to sneeze. They will start to nibble, of course. Oh, that was one of those harsh niches. Harsh niches. A harsh niche. Yeah, I don't know. Whew, ribs. Okay, we're good again. Alright, alright. Well, Maru probably would have figured it out. Would have scanned it, walked away. The Broodlords are just so slow. It's hard to really play a pre-battle positional game, but you kind of have to. Because they are Broodlords. You can't just walk them in over a plain field. That, you know, that would be a waste. There's quite a bit of potential there, trying to utilize the terrain with these types of units. Little infestor there. Pops out its head one more time before it gets sniped in the face. Sniped in the rumpus. This base, though, this is becoming an issue for Reynor. I don't think he should allow Maru to have this base. There's over 100,000 minerals extra lost here by Reynor. He will have to be extremely careful. To be fair, all of those resources were lost, you know, during the Roach period, most likely. He's got himself Broodlords now. They're a bit more efficient. Broodlords Infester. Hold on and see what it will be able to achieve here. There's another nuke coming in. So can we catch it? Oh, well, it is somewhat to call it. This wasn't as important as this, though. Forcing the cancellation on that nuke didn't go off. Look at how quick he is with those scans. That, or sorry, the snipes. That is ridiculous. That's all the Vipers dead. He sniped out all the Vipers. There's no more Vipers. That means no more Abduct, no more Blinding Cloud. Nothing of the sorts. As Liberators slowly start sieging up the one siege tank here. There's two siege tanks. There's another one somewhere else. That is over here on the watchtower of all places. Interesting place. Wasn't expecting it there, but that is where it is. Another nuke flies off into the sky. Let's see if we missed another engagement here. No. So it's going to back up this time around. It's going to hit a couple of those structures here. Reynor decides, you know what, at least have this. At least have this. Vipers trying to gather up their energy. Oh dear. Oh no. It's starting to get tense. Those Broodlords, their hands are going to be forced at some point in time. This might be a good opportunity with a choke here. Nice fungal coming from the Infestors. Snipes really struggling here, not really quite having the range just quite yet. The Liberators are doing a good job taking care of any Infestor that tries to step forwards. But the big tell is that those Broodlords, they spawn too many Broodlings for those Hellbats to really clean up efficiently. Maru will have to back out of that choke point and try to figure out a different approach. He's in the driver's seat here. He's also a little bit of the supply down now. It might be a little bit deceiving as well, since we do have 5 Corruptors, 2 Broodlords and 2 Vipers in production for Reynor at this point as well. So his army, even though it shows 200 out of 200, those units still have to kind of get here. That being said, that they are starting to get here. Maru's production having a bit of a flood of links there. And it's not too many, just a couple. Ooh, some Broodlords getting scratched. Burrowing these links, just trying to preoccupy Maru's time. Nice EMPs, but a pretty good fungal as well. Broodlords are sustaining some damage. I don't know if this is as good a chokehold here for Reynor to hold as the previous one was, but might not get a better opportunity. Almost sacrificing his hatchery, actually. That's how badly he needs the Viper energy available to him. And oh, the Ghost comes in with an E and an M and a P. Jeez Louise. That was quite a bit of energy that seemingly went down. So many units just kind of stacked on top of each other. It's hard to see. Especially when you're trying to pronounce things like EMP, it's difficult. Another nuke up into the sky. And another evacuation of the grounds will be made by Reynor. many Broodlords are we on? 31 Broodlords. Holy moly. That is a lot of Broodlords. We're on an amount of Thors though as well. If they switch to the the splash damage, it might take them 3 shots, but if all those Broodlords are on top of each other, then that would be quite something. Okay, getting an alright amount of Broodlings now on top of the Hellbats. The Ghost trying to go for snipes, but a Fungal defensively put down will be able to keep them at bay for a little bit longer. Broodlords, what are the numbers? We are still on 31 Broodlords right now. Numbers for Maru are starting to dwindle. Is this ball of Broodlords going to be able to do it? Well, we'll have to wait for the answer of that question, as another nuke will force them backwards, giving Maru another one of these bases. With a grand total of 285 minerals remaining there. Well, the gas is probably the more important bit at this point in time. Festus, Vipers, most likely the units, Broodlords as well, all requiring a lot of gas. Alright, setting up shop. This is quite the careful game he has to play here. Needs to get those EMPs onto the Infestors, then he would love to get some snipes onto the Broodlords. It's a very close range here that you have to dance with. See how Reynor is really just trying to scrape the surface off this range and then just back off as soon as those Broodlings are jumping out. There we go, that's a big volley right there. Of course, pretty tanky though. EMPs and Fungal exchange, not getting either group fully. Still a battle. More army supply overall available for Reynor. Is it gonna help him out though? Or is this Ghost Thor army just a bit too killing? Actually, that is the army that is slowly being whittled down. There is the snipes. But, you know what? The Fungal strikes back and it is still 24 Broodlords on the menu here. I think Reynor is going to be able to push through this force of Maru, and how is Maru going to try to recuperate here? He is starting to rebuild those forces. He's rebuilding the Hellbats as well. But the Ghost managed to escape the area using their cloak technology. Let's call it. And see how long it takes these Broodlords to get across the map though. Oh, these Zerglings is a wonderful choice by Reynor. A quick unit to try and get as much as possible on the balls here, as soon as possible. We'll start to try and retaliate. The bottom side clearly mined out, not an area anymore where you really have to make something happen. Missile turrets in the middle as well, gonna slow him down a little bit here as Maru trying to assemble up a force once again. Cleaned up quite a couple of the Broodlords in the previous battle, but there's still 16 remaining. That's about half of the Broodlords we had previously. But it is still 16 Broodlords, isn't it? And Maru does not have his army that he had in that fight either. Still 3 Ghosts as 3 Thors at the same time being produced. Both of them kind of slowing things down again. This could be a scary moment for Reynor. We'd love to have these bases continue mining. After all, Maru is still mining from the top left side, right? I think the way, if this game keeps going, the longer it would be, the better it will be for Maru. Since he still has the entire side of the map, I'm a bit surprised, in fact, that he is trying to push out in this location here. Zerglings coming in from the flank are going to shut down the retreat of those Ghosts as the Fungals land pretty nicely, but the Broodlords does he still have enough? I don't think so. Maru just knew that he had enough here to really be a dangerous threat and now starts to give chase to the Broodlords. Is that the mistake though? It's hard to say. These Broodlords are quite low, but they're quite deadly still as well. And with the Fungals nearby, one little overstep on your part as Maru could mean the difference between winning and losing this game. Great EMP on those infestors. Alright, no more Fungals available. Making this a little bit more light-hearted for Maru. Moving in for this bottom right side base. Still a couple of drones with some minerals there, I suppose. Not a whole bunch, but worth taking out. Denying a couple thousand minerals to your opponent. Not bad, and there it is. GG is called. Reynor knew. Reynor knew that was a problem. Overlord's checking about. This man was notorious for his 2 racks after all. Can never be too careful with a Maru bandit going about in the bushes. Could have all sorts of conniving schemes up his sleeves. I guess he sees this SCV here, and that's a regular SCV. He's going to recognize it as such as well. It's just coming from the base at a regular time. Nothing out of the ordinary here. I don't know if it's going to lighten his heart enough to just start sending this Overlord across. Yeah, it is. Okay. It's that hatchery is done as well. Yeah, so you can start sending this Overlord across. If that's where you want it to go. We did see a Viking being built by Maru in that previous game, so that could be a reason to keep your Overlords a little bit closer. You know, also another reason is the more Overlords you have nearby could make that mid-game a little bit easier for you if there's Hellion harassments of something. Something, you know, darting around your creep line. Could even be Banshees, right? A lot of things that Terran can do in that early to mid-game. That extra bit of vision to give that insight will be quite valuable. Marina's managing to avoid the Zerglings so far, but there are the Hellions now, ready to defend the SCVs. Zerglings still get a pretty reasonable scout though, I suppose. The 4 Marines, in fact, managed to pick off an Overlord. Not too bad. That is, that's a bit more money that Reynor just lost there than I thought that he would. Also, a bit of a supply block for him. It's not a massive one, but it's definitely unfortunate. One Zergling getting into the main base. Okay, let's make that from an okay scout to an absolutely great scout. Like that. He doesn't try to do too much afterwards with that Zergling either. He got what he came for. He knows what's up. If he can get an SCV or 2, you know, that's great. But the main objective is done. Now ready to continue onwards with other priorities for the Zerg. Injecting, spreading creep. Getting expansions rolling, making drones for as long as you can. Oh, nice little catch there. Surprised the other Hellion still managed to get as free as it did, but you know what, Reynor? Ooh, that was pretty neat. Sending the 1 Zergling, that was nice, actually. You know, if it managed to get that hit, he only loses 1 Zergling, and he still kills off that Hellion, and well, didn't work out that way, but still pretty neat. Still pretty neat. Widowmine drop, because not do too much. 3 workers in total. 1 Widowmine still alive, however. Managed to wiggle its way into his secret position here, as we do have the armory. Funny to see the armory in this kind of time period, right? Just allow him to then afterwards go into Hellbats as well once more. Was utilizing those Hellbats a lot in the previous games, so not too surprising, I suppose. Yeah, you don't have to often... Well, more often than not, if there is an armory, it is going to be the Hellbats, rather than, you know, just Widow Mines that are now cloaked after shooting. It's a good thing, don't get me wrong, but usually you should be able to get a Spore Crawler or something up before the Widow Mines manage to shoot again. And if you don't, you should be aware that the Widow Mine is there, right? And kind of manage it as it starts to reset. It's a lot easier said than done, but, you know, as is a lot of things in StarCraft. Alright. Starting this little rotating dance here with this Hellion. So I love that he's transforming them back and forth from Hellbat to Hellion. You don't see that enough. You know, just utilizing that mobility and then just transforming into Hellbats again. Doesn't feel like it should be so much of that. Oh, that was all the Banelings? That was all the Banelings. Wow. Huh. Is that a manual detonation? That looked a little bit weird. That was all the Banelings exploding at the same time, and I don't think that was because the Hellbat shot them, right? Was it? No. It's hard to say. We could go back in time and check, but that's not what we're gonna do. Someone can pause the video and then just check and see later down the line somewhere on YouTube. Let us all know in the comment section, you know, and then there we go. Combat shields for Maru about to finish up here as he is starting to add more pressure once again to the front door of Reynor. Reynor on the other side does have a Dropper Lord starting up with a couple of Zerglings underneath, ready to, well, combat whatever is in the main base. Are we now bringing a siege tank along also for this push? Harassment kind of naturally evolving from just pressure into this push here. It's nice to see a player do that so well. Not a lot of time in between the two things that you're doing. Really upping that amount of harassment. So there we go. More Zerglings are now in the third base as the Zergling drop in the main base. Targeting down the tech lab on the factory. Quite a couple of SCVs are going down, and on the other side of the map, Maru will have to escape, but not after taking down a hatchery with him. Zerglings still in the main base, now also cleaned up. 13 SCVs went down in total during that entire cluster of combat. It's not done yet, it seems. Right, sorry, I forgot to add a point to Maru's scoreboard there. +2/+2 for both players. Gonna be finishing up quite early on with the +2 attack here for Maru. Might be able to make that work into his advantage. Perhaps another base to be killed off. This is troublesome for Reynor. He cannot afford to keep losing his bases like this. That's why he is sending in these Banelings right now. Trying to clean it all up. Incorporating some Mutalisk play also. Can't manage to clean up the siege tank line in the back though, even though it was just the one siege tank there. The Marines too quick on the return. Third base for Maru, a little bit more exposed. Might make it okay again if those Mutalisks get a lot of damage in for this hatchery to fall. Because, well, right now we are on a 3 base versus 3 base with Maru as the Terran opponent here. That is absolutely terrifying. That is most of these Mutalisks going to go down rather quickly. Oh, that is abysmal. I feel like he may have just lost the game within a couple of moments there. Just Maru taking the combat in his own hands and doing it quite effectively so as well. Let's take a look at these units lost tabs then, shall we? Yep. 1,000 extra gas lost and about 2,000 extra minerals lost here from Reynor. Meanwhile, Maru, the one consistently across the map. Reynor, not... He's trying to still get his own pressure across the map. It just doesn't seem to have the punch it needs to. Full bases for Maru now established. At the same time, Reynor, luckily for him there, his newest 4th base is also mining. The 5th base not too long after was constructed also. That's why that is now finishing up at this point. So we move into the deeper and deeper tech trees of these two respectable races. With mine tech, more Thors starting to go into the mix. Do we already have that Ghost Academy? Not yet, so wondering when that will be coming in here. I seem to be waiting for quite a bit. Perhaps not necessarily wanting to go for the Ghost quite yet, as he's not really up against anything, energy related or very big, such as Brute Lords or Ultralisk. So I kind of like the army composition of Maru here as well. For what he's up against, he seems to have a really good grasp of what type of composition he needs. Having these Widow Mines, for example, right? I think that's a really good point about this. He just continued making Widow Mines. He's got himself Drilling Claws, 2 Widow Mines at a time. There is now the Ghost Academy, which is pretty nice to see as well. When was the last time he scanned? Okay, no, he doesn't even know it's a lair. He didn't even get... Well, he knows it's a lair, but he's not seen the main base become a lair, is what I'm saying. So I was wondering, maybe he saw the timing of the hive or something like that, which gave him the idea to start up the Ghost Academy around this time. But no, just good intuition overall, carrying this lad through. And a little counter-attack here, taking care of some creep that got out of control. The Mutalisk on the, what is that, 4th base of Maru. Had sent some Marines trying to capture those Mutalisk, but unsuccessful for the time being. There's Widow Mines as well in a couple of places that could make this quite a nasty engagement. Reynor seemingly aware of which way to go though. Does avoid taking massive losses right there. Sending off the Widow Mines with the Overseers. Perhaps might be a miscontrol, might be just that he didn't know about it. Either or. Now he does know about it, at least. That is a guarantee. Ultralisk Gavin on the way. Cloak for the Ghost coming up as well, as 4 are already on the map. Ultralisk attempting. This is a brave assault right here through a choke point like that. You almost killed the Marauder though, to be fair. He also really needs Adrenal Glands to finish up before he makes a move like that. Because you could just straight up lose the game if you don't have Adrenal Glands and you run your army in like that. Expecting to have it, right? Even if he did have it, I'm still not convinced that was the play. All Marines here without medevacs. Things are going to be quite effective there. Great split for that Widow Mine. Let's see if these other Bangs now ready to roll into the army. They do manage to get a fair amount of Marines here with them. Mutalisk on the other base, meanwhile. There's the snipes, quite useful onto those Mutalisk as well as the Overseer. Very important to keep sniping the Overseers here for Maru, I would say. Oh, that repair is so disgusting. And now there's 2 more ghosts just popping out, 2 more snipes ready to go. That is disturbing. That is absolute. This is... Well, I've never seen someone be that that clean against Mutalisk. Holy moly. So many ghosts, so many pieces for him to move there. Just done wonderfully well. Reynor decides to strike against Maru as he is busy in his own base with those ghosts. Banelings looking like they just barely won't be able to get the ghost here either. More Banelings coming in, but a bit too slow to the party. Not gonna get much done either. Maru only on 49 workers. He's making 5 at a time. This does seem like it could be a better situation for Reynor. He's just taking out these bases a lot more efficiently. Still always that everlasting threat though, of course, of 117 supply worth of Ghost for Widowmine Siege Tank running across the map all of a sudden. Trying to keep the Ghosts alive, does manage to do so again. But once more, 10 SCVs do go down. Perhaps... Oh, that is so many mules. That is so many mules on the base that doesn't have that much mineral left. Perhaps he's looking to just kind of fly this orbital down, down to another base after these mules are done. Interesting. Shows the time of desperation though for Maru. He needs money and he needs it now. Here we go. Needs to stay alive. 2 rows of Banelings coming in from 2 separate angles. One accompanied by 4 Ultralisk in total. And it does appear to be just too much for Maru to hold, and that is most likely going to take us into a game number 3 with a tied up score here. Unless if Maru does more Maru things, which do happen from time to time. But this is ridiculous, right? No way, Maru, no way you're gonna do this now. I'm sorry, Maru. You were trying something here, and well, we all appreciate it as fans of StarCraft. But yeah, that is a tap out right there. GG is called. Alright, so with the score being 1-1, will we see once again this same approach from Maru? And another question, will we see the same approach here from Reynor? Already did a bit of a mix-up though, to be fair, in game number 1 and 2. Going from the Roach Army composition rather than Circling Baneling Mutalisk then in the second game. And the Roach composition, you know, it's a special one. It's something we see experimenting with now and again from some players. But it never quite becomes the staple, does it? People are really good with it, but it doesn't feel like it's ever, you know, alright, this is now how we play this game. Because the Circling Baneling Mutalisk setup on its own is still quite formidable. And then there's other iterations on that composition you can do as well, right? You can try to go for the quicker Ultralisk, you can try to go for the quicker Baneling speed, or, well, adding more Infestors, Vipers. People like to exchange the Mutalisk for Hydralisk now and again. I don't think I like that as much in the ZVT. But it's possible. You can transform them into lurkers then afterwards, right? And lurker with the vipers. With a good amount of Zergling Baneling as the opening. It's not too bad. Maru here, you know what? That is a very quick third base. If I'm not mistaken, game number 2 at least, we saw him go for a bit more aggression before he started opening up with that third base. See if it will work out for him this time around. Doesn't have that much to really plague the spreading of creep with at this point, of course. But you know what? That could always change if you get yourself a battlecruiser. A Viking supporting the stealthy acquiring of the battlecruiser. Won't be spotted by that overlord at least. Reynor already going with plan B for scouting, obtaining intel here with a Zergling perhaps. I believe that could have spotted. Yeah, it did see the attack lab onto the starport. I also saw the starport not, well, I really didn't get to see it all that long. It was hard for him to say whether or not he noticed it wasn't producing just quite. But then I guess another thing you could say is that we have been seeing more Terrans recently, you know, with, well, maybe I'm just thinking about Gumiho actually, but, you know, Raven opening from him. It seems to be quite effective. Banshee still always quite a favorite for Terrans as well. In combination with those Hellions, really solidifying kind of any defenses you may require in that early game. As roaches are being built by Reynor. He is gonna go for the spore crawlers in each base. Would like to see a bit of creep between the main and the natural base also, of course. This could become a difficult thing for him to deal with. Ooh, Zergling. I don't think he saw it, but, well, I mean, right now you do. Right now you do. Where are the queens overall? 3 of them now waddling down from the main base into the natural once again. I'm going to try to deal with this. I'm doing an alright job so far. I think he lost 2 workers, well, 4 workers in total actually right now with the Hellions coming in from the side. Actually only lost 1 worker from the battlecruiser. Astrea and Zoun not doing too much, but this is still good stuff to do, right? Look at the amount of creep that is being cleared at this point. Very unfortunate that he doesn't get that one, or this one. Very important to get those active tumors always, of course. Doesn't quite get the splash damage on the creep tumor there. So he starts backing up. Pretty much fully committed into mech this time around. Second battlecruiser. More siege tanks coming out. Getting Yamato cannon for his battlecruisers. Truly fully committed. But perhaps Reynor, with these queens so aggressively placed here, is he planning to do something before anything else can happen? He doesn't have anything to support it, so maybe just kind of hoping to catch something that flew by the creep right there. I mean, if you can have your creep all the way forwards to your opponent's third base, then it feels like that is something you should do. Immediately puts down those tumors back. Little Viking on patrol, Zerglings. Is that enough Zerglings? Yep. the upgrades for the Viking? Oh, okay, he didn't have upgrades just quite yet. They are finishing up right now. Ooh, swarm hosts. Alright. Lovely. Okay. I like it. It's always good to see a Zerg that, you know, correctly reads his opponent. We're seeing so many siege tanks right now being constructed, and well, the battle cruisers are here. There's definitely a way for Maru to fight against those swarm hosts, but it's gonna be difficult. He's got the Yamato cannon. That is a powerful tool. He's got himself the teleportation. That is another powerful tool, all capable of you know, dealing kind of, how do you call this, dealing a punishment to these swarm hosts shooting out their locust all the time. Might be able to get back at your opponent at least a little bit here. There they are, the Hell Muffins. First one. Big wave. Lane's quickly trying to rotate to this location. A couple of missile turrets go down so far, as well as the siege tank. The Corruptors quite bravely just kind of flying forwards in front of those battle cruisers. Now moving further forwards, wanting to get those battle cruisers, but it looks like they flew to the other base. They teleported across down instead of up. Now with the Cyclones quite quickly, a quick change up on production there from Maru, helping him out with the goobity goop being sped out and sped up by those Corruptors as well. Comes another wave. Maru just kind of taking damage as we're speaking. Really would like to see some way for him to start to formulate where he's going to start being a bit more proactive here. Because now he is sort of just allowing Reynor to punch him on the chin and then be like, alright, well, I'll be here next time when you're ready again, you can come over and you can come punch me. He's still getting stronger, of course, with his siege tank count increasing here, I suppose, but so are the swarm hosts. There are more, well, they're getting upgrades, I suppose. And dropping down. Even has Ravages here now as well to throw down some vials. Don't really connect onto too much, but definitely makes for a good show. As the Ghost Academy. Perhaps that is what Maru is waiting on before he starts being a bit more proactive with defending against the swarm host. Overlord Scout. And alright, let's take a look at the resources lost. This is the first time Maru is behind on the resources lost tab. But it's not by a terrifying amount. It's a little bit terrifying, but it does seem to be manageable. It's not like he's bleeding his own economy here. He is bleeding units now and again. See, that's another 3 siege tanks that go down, so this might be looking a little bit more... Actually, no. A lot of Queens got shot down there as well. Battle mech, I suppose, jumping into action on the other side. Alright. Excuse me. Flow coming up again for those ghosts. Transformer servos for Liberators, as well as those Hellions coming in also. A lot of Hellions going down. I don't know if you want to have an army not really with enough Hellions here. Those Hellions, especially the Hellbats, I suppose, quite crucial to quickly deal with the Locust as they come in. Alright, nice Yamato cannons. Gets 4 of those swarm hosts. Here we are, another wave. How many Hellions do we still got? Alright, does seem to be pretty sufficient. Still overall behind on the minerals loss tab. Which is a bit terrifying as the Terran player. But he is still, again, holding on. Reynor's bank is growing though, and that's another terrifying thing as his army is not really one that he just will throw away. These swarm hosts can stick around for still a little bit longer. But for how long can you keep them around? I mean, Maru's army is still growing. And there might be a point where these locusts just won't do enough on their own. He does have the banelings and zerglings there to accompany them. That's where the siege tanks actually come in quite handy here. Very nice. Something I've always heard is that, you know, siege tanks are not that great against the swarm host, or if you are the Zerg player, you want to play swarm host against someone going mech very heavily into siege tanks. Because you can just kind of fly over them and do the, you know, the friendly damage to them as they start shooting, bombarding their allies whoever you land upon. But Maru making it work pretty neatly. Right? Losing some right now, bringing the battle cruisers back as he just took out a base of Reynor. Two of them go down due to the biles, though. Well placed there by Reynor once again. Very equal units lost tab right now. Still has me worried in spades for Maru. Could once again be another volley here. Let's see what it does. A banzai, here we go. Wave assaults bringing forth. And, well, once again, Maru, his supply is going down here. Reynor has the bank to re-max at this point. I don't know if I'd like him pushing through the middle, or if I'd rather see him try and take out a base somewhere. Like over here, for example. It's quite wide open also. You could, yeah. Tough choices. Tough choices. This is where the production comes out, I suppose, as well. Another wave. Just the Locust this time, or is he going to bring more Zerglings and Banelings? Yeah, more Zerglings and Banelings. Joining in with the mix. No, decides against it. Yeah, that's just such an awkward angle, right? This entire path and then upwards into those siege tanks, the battle cruisers, the Ghost. Locust already kind of being destroyed there as well. This is something I worry about for Reynor, though. This is... he may have overstayed his welcome on the Swarm Host. Alright, losing a couple of them. I kind of like that, in fact. I'd like to see some other unit types coming out here. Well, that being said, they once again just get an insane amount of value here. Alright, never mind. Just keep at it. He's lost 8 of them in total. He still has 13. Doesn't seem to be reproducing any of them, so perhaps Reynor kind of on the same idea there, not wanting to overstay his welcome with the Swarm Host. Because that's the scary thing, right? If you overstay your welcome, suddenly you shoot out a wave, and if you don't do a reasonable amount of damage, the Terran might just start counterattacking, right? And then you have those Swarm Hosts trying to waddle away on creep They're not very quick, they're not very nimble. The snipes come in, the medevacs start boosting after them. You don't have a good way to really defend against them because you just threw in all your banelings and zerglings into the meat grinder trying to, you know, benefit from the wave of locust. And that still has me a bit scared. I think Reynor could lose in that type of situation here. In particular so because he is just making exchanges with the army of Maru. He did let Maru kind of take the bottom right side. He's mining that out as we speak. Reynor does have a couple more bases over his opponent, but it's not by an enormous crazy amount, and well, still has to secure his own bases to really have a definitive higher base count total than his opponents as well. Oh, this is nice. 18 SCVs. Ooh, if those bios landed on a couple of ghosts, that would have been even better, of course. But you know what? 18 SCVs, not too shabby, not too shabby. Is Maru still replenishing them? Yes, he is. Okay. Oh, this is... Yeah, nope. Back up immediately from there. Don't engage the siege tank battlecruiser army when you have to spend about 2 to 3 times as much movement to get on top of them. While they can shoot at you. Yeah, just a few siege tanks here or there. Right, only sends in a couple of locusts, I like that. The rest of them fly onto the siege tank army on the right side. Now coming in here with Zerg Baneling does again not seem to be getting all too much. And Maru managed to put the game upside down in the efficiency as well now after adding in those ghosts. It kind of seemed to be taking a turn after the Cyclones perhaps got introduced, where Maru started trading more efficiently than Reynor, regardless of those swarm hosts shooting wave after wave after wave. He still only killed how many? 8 of them, right? Out of how many? 20 something that were created. So that is a lot of locusts, and it's not like Reynor's just sitting there not shooting out locusts when, you know, they're ready to do so. Well, right now, you know, it's a poor example of the rest of the game. He was consistently just throwing them out. And even now, right, he is moving them into a location to go and have them shoot out more locusts. This is actually a pretty reasonable one. Oh, more hellbats. Alright. There to defend once again. Still okay, gets the 2 siege tanks. Doesn't lose much of anything else. I believe this is the base that if Reynor manages to mine this out, he'll have a definitive more amount of resources available to him in this game. Well, you got the siege tanks. I don't know if that was the objective to get the siege tanks, but got the siege tanks. Maybe just cause a bit of disruption for the locusts to do more on the other side. Well, he gets a couple of SCVs. Now, right, these swarm hosts, they're not like the broodlords. The broodlords could just back up and slowly figure out a way to deal with these armies that are trying to give chase. But these swarm hosts, well, first they were on the other side of the map, but they're going to be useless for a while here. May have to take some of those swarm hosts out, or try to sacrifice them in a way, because his army is just not going to be as good in that straight up engagement. Finding more siege tanks though. And they are giving good counter arguments here, these Locusts are. Look at that. But that supply lost by Maru is going to get reconstructed. It's going to get recreated. He doesn't have a massive bank as Reynor does, so that could become a big deal here as well. But I don't think Maru will lose too much against Reynor in the first fight because of those swarm hosts again. Just because there's so much supply stuck in these bad boys. Careful. Nice Maru cannons onto the Brute Lords. Once again, this incredible Brute Lord army is going to try to be constructed. The Ghost. Actually, a Raven with the anti-armor missile there. Ghost sticking back for the time being. So is the rest of this army, in fact. Killing 22 workers. A bit of a wild engagement, but yeah, does make Maru reconsider his options there. Going home and starting to repair all these units. That is a wonderful idea. You don't see that enough. Efficiency is key. Maru knows this, and well, I wonder what his expectations are of the units lost at right now. With these, you know, endless barrages of Locusts, you might think that he is not as far ahead in this remark as he is. But I could be wrong there as well. Curious to think about. Oh, is the army gonna try to commit here? Reynor, there's the Locust, the Brute Lords, the whole shebang, the whole Zerg crowd. The Wild and Rowdy family trying to make things happen here, but once again the Locust. Actually the Locust, most of them going upwards. They are eliminated now, just Broodlings. Utilizing this tight choke here by Reynor. A wonderful, nice engagement area chosen by him. Ensuring that the chase is nearly impossible here. Unless if Maru did manage to come in from different angles, I suppose, but if that were the case, maybe you could have retreated over this other pasture here. Another wave of Locust. Other cruisers with the Yamato cannon making some work happen. Doesn't teleport them back too far, which is nice to see. Immediately will start shooting away at whatever is trying to deal with his siege tanks and hellbats. Giving some nice supports, and there is the Duke ready to try and make some space once more available to Maru. How many swarm hosts still left? That is 9 swarm hosts still in this composition. I would have ran them in somewhere a long time ago, just either by mistake or frustration. Just I don't want to have to deal with these units all this time. There he goes again. Great job with it. Let's get some of them sniped. As the Brood Lords trying to engage the Thors. Struggling a little bit here. Such a difficult fight to have for both fronts there. A lot of moving pieces and slight differences in range to consider. The siege tanks for Maru starting to be sacrificed here for a bit of harassment. Actually do take out one of these hatcheries on the top left side. Not much left there, but you know what? Reynor still wants to grab them. Grab whatever is left there. Rebuilding that hatchery. Maru taking the 11 o'clock. 5 o'clock once again taken by Reynor here. Back and forth. How many bases? 7 hatcheries were lost this game. Only a single orbital and a single planetary fortress though. And perhaps we're not as inefficient as you would be with circling Baneling. But at the same time, you only killed one orbital and one planetary this entire game. Wait, were there regular command centers killed? Nope. Maybe cancellations, right? But that's not the same. That's why casters always scream about, oh, it's not a cancel, it's this. Anti-armor missile. Could make things quite a spaz, see? Still, I mean, he has 5 of them and he is just... This man is like, alright, give me those other balls, I'll juggle them. You wanna chainsaws, right? Throw it in there, we'll juggle that too. Oh boy, this is a mess. This is a mess. This is 21 Broodlords, all stacked on top of each other. The Thors need to get a little bit closer right now. Maru pretty much only dealing with the Broodlings. Has to be very careful though, of course, with those Infestors nearby. EMP's not quite landing a quick pull away with the Infestors. A bit of breathing room. There is the Neural Parasite into the Thors though, as the Thors move forwards onto the Broodlords. They're dealing quite quickly with them. Are they going to be able to deal with them entirely though, together with the battle cruisers? It is a very close game. But Reynor, is he pushing through? That is my question right here. There's 3 more Broodlords remaining. There's a siege tank, a good amount of ghosts though, with a battle cruiser and a Thor on the high ground. Looks like Maru still will hold on for a bit longer. That has got to be terrifying for Reynor. He does no longer really have a bank to work with. So once again, he's going to have to try and just be efficient here. There's Maru. Where is he still mining from? He's got a very fresh base here. If this gets killed off, this is gonna feel like it's in the bag for Reynor overall. The base on the bottom side, there's another one right there. Gonna be scattered out by the command center. This one could be incredibly important for Reynor as well. Quickly, the gaze of these players will change. Moving their armies back and forth from corner to corner, anticipating attacks from either side. One single battlecruiser providing quite a bit of firepower here. Brings down another hatchery. He's like, no sir, this will be mine. And there is the kill on it, however. Command center on the ground. Battlecruisers trying to get back to the defense here. A lot of anti-air overall, so a good choice to jump on that location. The 5 o'clock now taken out as well. Maru desperate to keep that command center alive, jumping back and forth between Broodlords and Corruptor fire. These Corruptors are wreaking quite a bit of havoc though now on Maru's troops. It's quite a long walk there across before Maru arrives. Will Maru be able to get mining on one of these bases, actually? Another siege tank going down. Army compositions. Let's take a look. 2 Infestors, 3 Swarm Hosts still. And the single Broodlord that remains. In the production, not that much. Both players quite poor. Units really starting to matter at this point in time as well. Be careful. Yeah, okay. Always scary, you know, with the siege tanks already sieged and Locust flying in, but Maru dealing with that rather well. Is he going to be able to keep these 2 bases out of Reynor's possession? That is a good question. The army of Reynor that has been reassembled, definitely a bit more mobile than the siege tank army that is being reassembled now by Maru. But the siege tank army is a pretty cool choice here, seeing the return to roaches as well. Well, roach ravages. Nice. Alright, Maru retaken this little pocket base over here. So at least he is getting minerals. He's got himself an income. Quite important indeed. And the army of Maru just a lot more deadly, I want to say. Those ghosts, those Thors, just absolutely crushing it in the damage department. And then the Ravagers, a little bit of a mid-game unit, you know. Files are exceptional, yes, but you are playing against Maru. Is he going to allow you to just get massive files over and over again? It is unlikely, right? Circling here on a nice path as well. Finding himself some lone siege tanks to take care of. More snipes from the ghosts. Gotta be careful once again though. The Zerglings giving quick chase. That was the final Brute Lord being shot out of the sky as well. Can't believe we still have a nuke available also. A nuke is like a very big pile. That takes a very long time to drop on the ground. Production tab. Being a bit meager. Again, these little pathways in the middle really seeming nice points of contention on this map. Trying good battle situations and opportunities for players to try and set up nice concaves. I am a fan of good map design. I kind of like this map. 5 o'clock base was taken by Reynor here. Now mining. Reynor now 40 supply behind though on Maru. These biles, we know that he is a crazy kid with a lot of great control, but they would have to be immaculate to make this work still. And there it is. GG is called. Maru taking game number 3. It is going to be 2 points for this man and 1 point for the other man. This man being the blue Terran player fighting for Onside Gaming. Maru. Bottom right side, of course, the red Zerg fighting for Kaiser Gaming right now. It is Reynor. The Italian man himself. He's got a bit of a tough battle here ahead of him. But it is interesting to kind of see these games, right? And then, especially the Zergling Baneling kind of composition, it's such a just throw what you have at the, you know, everything in the kitchen sink at your opponent kind of thing. And sometimes you just, you know, do enough damage where your opponent is crippled enough that the next wave does a bit more, the next wave does a bit more, and it just keeps going, right? It just falls apart for your opponent. And then there's the different thing with the swarm host there, right, where you expect something similar to happen, or at least the same opportunity to be there, but yeah, it just doesn't quite have the same punch, does it? The Locust takes such a long period of time to kind of just fly over there, and with players as good as Maru, they'll have those ghosts, those Hellions, and the whole shebang back at where they need to be, usually when those Locusts are coming in. And then he loses a couple of units. He says, alright, I'll take this damage, that's okay. But I'm going to use a couple of Yamato cannons on your swarm host here and there. And I'm going to, you know, get a couple of snipes off. And I'm going to have a couple of siege tanks just get a couple of pre-shots in on your Zerglings or Banks or whatever. So yeah. It seems like it's tougher to get yourself into that situation, perhaps, where you are slowly just snowballing your opponent out of existence. Quite a few links. Even losing one. Huh. How many links? Was it just 6 links? It was just 6 links. Alright. That's fine. As what Zergs do nowadays. Versus Clem and Maru. Even against other Terran as well, right? It kind of just became an accepted thing. Like, alright, just make sure you don't lose any of these links. Make sure you're okay against the Hellion. And it should be a lot easier to kind of get yourself started in this early game, right? Alright. Once again, this Viking being produced by Maru. There's not a single overlord in the area though. It didn't get shot down. It just, well, I guess the overlord is over here. It's just a bit further away. Might be able to find it still. Actually, did he already find it? Does he know it's there? He may have his suspicions. Focus here on the objective. There is Maru once again going for the battle cruisers. Can be quite devastating indeed. Especially that it seems to be a bit difficult for Reynor to scout. Then again, Reynor's been up against the same type of thing, you know, a little bit. The same flavors of Terran for a couple of rounds now, so might not be too far outside of his thinking box to consider battle cruisers to be a part of his food intake today in this game. Yes, indeed. 2 factories coming up behind it as well. Straight up mech being the approach from Maru once more. I guess game number 1, was it? Was it game number 1 where we had more so the bio approach still being incorporated as well? Having all those Marines at the start. Doing a lot of drops with the triple medevacs as well. Getting quite a bit of value from them, so... It's not going to kill a hatchery, but... It's definitely going to keep the Queens busy as the battlecruisers in the natural base right now. Just, well, getting 2 drone kills. It's not that much, but... We've seen these battlecruisers being controlled by Maru before. We know that it's still going to have plenty of opportunities to get its value. And already this, I would say, is a part of the battlecruiser's value, right? Just having that extra threat for Reynor to have to deal with. He has to respect it, has to send those queens there. These Hellions just having quite a free day on the creep for the time being. Like how Reynor is approaching this situation as well, though, sending a couple of queens straight away after where the Hellions were. He's able to re-establish quite a bit of creep here. Still having this tumor. That is annoying. There seems to be a bit of a thing right now, right? Where Reynor just barely keeps one of those active tumors alive. Just a slight miss on the scan heal there. I say miss, I mean it's an invisible thing. You don't know where they are until you see them with the scan, of course, but well, you know what I mean. Still no backside base being taken by Reynor. Just going for the more fruitful ones outside of his base. Out goes that battle cruiser. I kind of, you know what, I respect it from Reynor. Going for those outside bases. Him going for the swarm host though, you know what? On the one side, I absolutely love to see it, but on the other side, I'm a bit worried. They didn't do as much as you would like to in the previous game versus Maru, and I'm not entirely certain what the difference is here for Maru precisely, but it does seem to be a bit like, well, the Locusts get on his units, but then they just don't seem to care as much. Some of his units die, but then the rest of the army just, you know, recuperates, and he has more units the next wave every time. Seems that's gonna be the same case here now with 21 swarm hosts quite quickly produced. A little bit of a different story. A lot of queens here as well, ready to do transfusions and tank a lot of the firepower available. But look at that, the Locust. What did they get? 2 siege tanks. Well, a couple of Hellions and Helmets perhaps as well. Not too bad. He's losing queens like no tomorrow though, with those Yamato cannons shooting. But well, we'll see the next wave, right? He's got a couple of the corrosive biles now to throw down as well. And those siege tanks are quite clumped up, so a well-placed couple of corrosive biles. Who knows how much damage that could do. There we go. Where is that Night one? I think it's just in the back of this army here. There we go, there are the Locusts and the Biles. Where are the Biles? Just landing a bit in front of the siege tanks, in fact. And a lot of those Queens once again go down. 2 siege tanks and just a couple of those Hellions. And he's losing more than his opponents, Maru is, so maybe that is going to be the reason why it's still okay here for Reynor. Then he loses quite a couple of workers here. Oh boy. Oh boy, yeah, there is a Spire, but the Corruptors aren't done yet. 8 of them are in production right now. Another Nidus right there as Maru tries to take a base. Ooh, loses one of those battle cruisers. More Locusts flying into the siege tanks as we're speaking. You see how those Locusts are trying to get past the Hellbats, because they just deal with them so efficiently. Yeah, I think this would be a good idea. Get those Locusts in from different angles, because right now those Hellbats are just always set up exactly where they need to be. And they're the boys you want to try to avoid. You want to try to get on top of those siege tanks, Thors. Well, SCVs. Planetary Fortresses is pretty good as well, as long as you have enough of them. Minus 1 in the main base. Banelings, ooh, that is a big engagement right there. Let's take a look at what that did to the scores. You know what? Yeah, no, went okay. Quite a couple of Hellbats, in fact, and maybe like 4 siege tanks in total. So that was much better than the previous fights. Still in possession of those 21 swarm hosts as well. Hasn't lost a single one of them yet. There might be a clue as well as to Maru's approach to this matchup though, as he is seemingly targeting the Queens. Or at least was previously, a bit more so with the battle cruisers. Reynor has a tremendous amount of drones, just needs to work a bit more, so I guess on claiming these bases all around the map to ensure that he will just have a dominating amount of money available in comparison to Maru. -1 shenanigans making things difficult. As, how does he know? How does he know? I think there was a scan to see whether or not there's a base there. Or maybe, you know what? He probably scanned over here, saw that the swallows were missing. And he's like, alright, well, where else could they be? What would be the most troublesome area? Probably here. He scans, he sees it. Hellbats get there in time. He knows he'll have to repair there, and almost nothing happens with that wave. Hive attack on the way. Spire coming up as well. Reynor once again gonna try to approach the mass Brute Lord composition here. With the Infestus, the tried and true old way of playing the Zerg race. We are again more Locusts, getting right on top of a lot of the siege tanks this time around. But again, it's just too much for Reynor to really punch through with. I mean, like, there's too much for Reynor to punch through here. He doesn't have too much to push through with. Although you could say that perhaps. Queens are quite big, clunky units. Difficult to get them up that ramp. Especially together with Ravagers and, you know, trying to bile. They'll stand still for a moment there as well. It's awkward. It's awkward when you're taking artillery shells. The wave. Not that many units supporting the Locust this time around. Doesn't give it a good bash. Enough banelings here to give the Hellbats a rough time at least. Once again, a surprising amount of army supply here available still for Maru. A lot of that in production, of course, but I mean, he's got the economy and he's making those units right now still. Reynor still kind of looking at his base count. Perhaps he is just happy with having more bases over his opponents by a small margin, and then just kind of putting his focus more so on making sure these attacks go as efficiently as possible and as often as possible. As soon as the Locusts are ready again. Here he is. And yeah, there's just always a surprising amount of Terran that remains. It goes against so many of my instincts in a way where if I was playing against Swarm Host, this would just, you know, everything would just keep dying. But no, not the case here for Maru. Another thing, you know, I would probably be panicked about trying to ensure that I can fight Reynor across the map to force those Swarm Hosts to use their Locust all the time defensively, you know, and then you have those openings. But you can just run away, in fact. A couple of SCVs, not really too much to worry about here to lose. Almost a bit more useful. Snipes down the Nidus Worm with the Yamato cannons. Now we'll be able to clean up quite a couple of them. Swarm Host in trouble. Then again, Reynor having the bank to replenish with whatever he wants, so I'm not too upset about that. Personally, I would like to see the big ball of Brood Lords once again, the 30 plus Brood Lords. That looks absolutely terrifying, and the damage that was doing just endlessly, right? Just brutling wave after brutling wave. There we go, not that many Locusts this time around, ready to jump on whatever they can. The Baneling's not going to be able to really partake in this battle either. Reynor once again will have to back up. About 20 supply behind his opponents, and Well, some of his base is quite run out dry at this point as well. His bases in the bottom left side, they have been open, they have been exposed. Maru really hasn't been checking them. They just haven't been taken by Reynor. Maru aware now with those sensor towers, of course. Quite literally can see whatever's happening in those zones. Road supply being thrown out. Doesn't need those units anymore after all. That's a big scan. That's a really big scan. Maru saw the amount of corruptors that are there. He realized that there's about to be a big switch into the Broodlords. And that Reynor is not quite ready. And he's going to try to take the opportunity here and force Reynor's hand. Reynor, you're just going to have to deal with this attack right now. You do not have the time you kind of was hoping for. Where are the corruptors? 18 of them flying across. Reynor still has a good bank, but now he's spent all his money, or well, all his supply. Try and get something available for him to defend against this. It's a little bit quicker in production than Broodlords. Maru's still scanning ahead, trying to ensure that he sees what is happening with his opponent's army. Cannot find any cocoons of corruptors, so he's not going to make any brazen moves here. They take out two important bases here for Reynor. Reynor wisely trying to take the top right side now as this is occurring. Will attempt to gather up the resources in that space. Swarm host still attempting to make something happen. Oh. Ooh. Right. Finally, they're gone. No more swarm host. Now we have the supply we need for all our Broodlords. Well, at least 13 of them. 14. Make that 14. It's not that many, is it? In comparison to all the other games we saw so far. Reynor quite slim on the Broodlords. Maybe hoping that the higher number of those swarm hosts will be able to actually take out Maru. Cripple him enough that the rest of this game is going to be a little bit easier, but Maru is Maru after all, and well, he bears his name with a reason. He carries a lot of respect with it. Still a bit of a fighting force though available for Reynor in this area. Those Banelings and those Broodlords, they are not messing about, especially with those Fungals combined as well. How many Corruptors do we have? In fact, there's a couple of those battle cruisers here, making things difficult, but oh dear. Yeah, wise decision, returning the Medavacs. Trying to pick up the units, but then you see those Corruptors there, and you're like, oh, wait a moment. Probably not the best. Little Zergling. Sometimes one Zergling is all you need to be as annoying as an entire army could be. Well, it's going to deal with it relatively quickly. Still got to see that day. Well, someone just doesn't notice that for a minute, right? Wasn't too uncommon in the early days of StarCraft 2. Yeah, not something you expect from Maru anymore. Ooh, I like this. Wow, Scan sees what's there. He's like, you know what, let me bring one siege tank here. That is just... Let's just kill... There's 34 kills on this siege tank. My goodness. Maru starting to take a more aggressive position here. How many Thors are we on? 8 of them in total. A couple of Brood Lords here as well. But battle cruisers opening up the fire first with their Yamato cannons. 16 Brood Lords, 5 battle cruisers. Infestor's going to be crucial to try and win this game here. Neural most likely gonna have to connect onto, well, what would you want? Battle cruisers probably before they shoot the Yamato cannon. So you can try to utilize that on the Thors. That would be great. Just getting the Thors as well would be fantastic. Counter-attack from Reynor. Quick adjustment from the army movements of Maru. It's just going to start collapsing in on this force right now. Stop it from doing that much more. Getting to the bottom side. There are a couple of bases where Reynor is still mining from. Most of them are in this place, but a big portion of Maru's army out of position. Getting caught by the Brood Lords and Infestors. Duke thrown down, trying to create some more space. 2 bases all for Reynor have fallen, so... Tough spot to be in. There is the explosion. Don't we all just love explosions? More nukes in production, but yeah, Reynor run dry right now. Maru happily mining here off of these 2 bases. He still has this base, which is relatively healthy. Somewhat of a base here. Reynor, let's take a look. He's got this. And, well, he's got that as well, actually. The behind pocket base now being quite valuable as he's taking it quite late. Still a lot to gain from that area. It's very safe as well against the army that Maru has. I guess the battlecruisers could try to make a run for that location, but it wouldn't be too difficult for the Corruptors to get in place to stop that from happening. Alright, both players now on opposite sides. Kozan into a base race, but doesn't look like Reynor's really keen on having that happen. Having this army move backwards. So Maru just moves forwards and solidifies his claim of the bottom left corner of the map. There's one in the main base of Maru. Doesn't manage to unload any links here. Battlecruiser's quite quick on the jump over anyway, so I don't think he would have gotten enough Zerglings out there to really achieve much. And the money being as low as it is for Reynor here, you have to even take into consideration the lives of your Zerglings. I know, it's wild for Zerg commanders to care about their Zerglings, but you may actually have to. The Terran right now is the player that is in a demanding seat with a fair bit of bank. Corruptors, they find the battlecruisers, deal with about 3 of them. I believe he killed 3 of them there. Interesting, interesting. Maru's still just kind of parading on the bottom side. Now finds himself with all these ghosts. Oh my god, that is a massive catch right there. Ooh, that was so many Corruptors going down in a flash. And he most likely wanted to keep those Corruptors around because, well, he's got his Brood Lords right now. I guess he did manage to clean up most of the battlecruisers. Not as a necessary part of his army anymore, those Corruptors are. In fact, if there wasn't another battlecruiser available and another battlecruiser that just came out of production, I would have really liked that actually from Reynor. Just use the Corruptors, what they're good for beforehand, and then afterwards just have more stuff that is actually going to help you in the ground versus ground battle. Right? Let's see if this is going to work out. This is a big open area. Those Thors are going to be able to waddle next to each other quite quick. Oh, the EMPs are massive, hitting every single one of those infestors. Oh dear, Maru will be able to give chase here quite rapidly. Let's see how bad things are going to get. Those Broodlords quite desperate, trying to keep that distance from those ghosts, otherwise they will just melt. This is scary, boys. Don't get everything killed now by a nuke. Thank you very much. Reynor too good for that. Top right side also now going to be taken out. Is this a moment where the Broodlords could come in from the backside, though? I don't think Maru's even going to allow for that opportunity. Already returning. Just leaving a not bare minimum, but well, actually a pretty bare minimum. Just a couple of Hellbats. The battle continues. This is the big moment right here. Some energy was returned to the infestors, but I mean, there's no neural. There's not a lot of fungal here either. That's just too many Ghosts and Thors versus these Broodlords. Broodlords all low on the HP as well. His units lost out, really showcasing this game was just in Maru's hands for such a long period of time already. I think this is going to be the last moments here. Any moment. Well, actually, those Zerglings are still quite useful. And Reynor does push this back. Army supply. It's too close, isn't it? There's so many bases available for Maru that are just planetary. Oh, yeah, I just killed all the Zerglings here. GG is called. Broodlords too slow to make their way across, and Maru takes the series 3-1.